What was the question?
Did you answer it?
No.
Oh, you want to come answer?
Well, I just want to know what the question is.
How young does self-control begin to be wired in the human brain?
Okay. 2.
Is that your answer?
That's my final answer.
Anyone else didn't get a chance to answer? Okay.
I might want to change my answer now.
Yeah, if you look.
Yeah, I gave you the materials.
Well, because I was thinking about self-soothing behaviors, you know,
Yeah, that's true.
so.
But this
I
is
could change.
literally just self-control, yeah. Okay, so, last session of the day. Yay! A really good one, I think you're gonna like it. It has a lot of, like we said, just that continuing theme of some very concrete, practical things that you can begin to implement in your classroom, and I think you'll see a big difference. Session 15 specifically talks about supporting the development of self-regulation and conflict resolution. So this is a really important one for little people because controlling, regulating ourselves is a huge accomplishment for them and something that we need to give them a lot of tools in order to support them. So let's say special thanks to the funders, the Department of Human Services, the Colorado Health Foundation, Temple Buell, Mile High, that's one. So the learning objectives for session 15, we're going to go over the objectives. We're going to talk a little bit about executive function, but that's a huge not new, but a huge area that we can spend a lot of time on, but we're going to touch on it a little bit. Strategies, we're going to look at strategies to support self-regulation, and then we're going to look at strategies to support self-control. We're going to do some activities with Tucker the Turtle, and we're going to look at some strategies that really get into this problem solving and conflict resolution piece. We'll end with an activity about teaching them some targeted social emotional skills. We'll have the thought seeds and the wrap up with the quality improvement. So a lot of strategy and activity filled stuff, so I think you like it. The learning objectives for this particular session are understanding the development and the continuum of self-regulation, self-control, and conflict resolution. We're going to give you those specific strategies on how to help kids, especially when they're angry. That's a real focus today, that frustration piece, that anger, and ways to help them self-control, especially considering what's developmentally appropriate. So the things that Lori's going to do for the toddlers are going to look different for the things that Penny's going to do for the 4- and 5-year-olds in her program. And then we'll just really get into we call it a solution kit, but those serious steps that we can empower kids to have to start self-problem solving. All right, our ground rules, we're going to be on time. We'll have open communication, time for questions, and avoid side conversations. Anything else you'd like to add for the last go? The parking lot, we did add those posters today. If you think of anything else, especially in this session, there's a lot of goodies in it. If there's something you would like copies of, be sure to have me or Vanessa, or feel free to go up and add it yourself. For the handouts in this session, there's not too many, but they're really good. I think that you will refer to them frequently. 15.1 is a chart here. It's just a nice overview, review, breaking out the age levels so that you can see what is developmentally appropriate for that age group with regard to self-regulation. It has a side piece where it talks about the adult behavior, whether you're in that responsive mode or whether you're more in the management mode. We're going to touch, like I said, 15.2 is on executive function. It has this little graph on it. We're going to spend just a little bit of time on it, but really the whole session's about executive function. But if you'd like more information, this is a really nice read, and it's just a quick one-pager. The 15.3 is helping young children handle disappointment. I think it's a great article. I highly recommend that one. This is the one that gets specifically into Tucker Turtle and some of the techniques that you can use with him. It includes the photos, which you probably would like to save to show the kids step 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 15.4 is our activity that we're going to do a little bit later after we go through some slides. 15.5 starts getting into the solution kit pieces, but there's a nice little graph with a little guy and the light bulb. It's some steps for problem solving. This graph is one we're going to use when we do an activity together. That was 15.6. And 15.7, this one also includes, today you're hitting the bonus, 3 checklists today. But really, I think an excellent resource for you to go through at your leisure and just reflect on whether or not you have some of these components where you might want to add. And the last thing, 15.8, are the resources. This does have some of those things that we were looking for in here. With the Tucker Turtle pieces where you can go back and print some additional copies if you'd like as well. And 15.9 is your thought seed, and at the end is the rest. So, restrooms down the hall. Feel free to get dessert or whatever else you'd like while we're going. Anyone else have any logistical questions? Feed the babies. Check. Already done. Already done. Check. All right, so before we get into it, of course, everything in here is evidence-based. It's evidence-based because we're building off of LEAP and building blocks. The research that we showed you in session 13 about LEAP, this continues on those problem-solving techniques. So now we're getting into the real meat and potatoes of how we handle these fluctuations in life. Vanessa was talking about feeling that emotion, but now what are we going to do about it now that we recognize we feel that way? It definitely hits in this environment piece because we are going to have some visuals and things that we can keep up standard in our environment to support all children, but we're definitely using this to target that prevention piece so that the kids who are feeling some of these strong emotions don't bubble up to the top for the challenging behavior. So research shows that impulse control begins to be wired into the brain as early as 16 months. So I'm going to say Penny was the closest on our trivia question.
Nice.
And I'm going to hold on giving you your prize to give it to you when it's relevant, which is in a little bit. But yeah, 16 months. But you think about it, babies are starting to self-regulate, right? At the beginning, we're helping them a lot to model it, to use ourselves to help self-regulate for them. But beginning at 16 months, they're starting to become aware of things, and they're starting to do things to help them self-regulate. So self-regulation, the definition is the ability to monitor and manage one's own thinking, attention, feelings, and behavior. It's the capacity to pay attention, express feelings, and control impulses. This is a big job. It's a hard job. There's information coming at you from all directions, things that you think are going to happen, don't happen. It's a tremendous job for adults. Think about adults that you know in their life who have trouble self-regulating some of the normal changes that happen every day. You can imagine what it's like for a little person who's only been on the planet for 2 years. It's a really big job, and so that's why we're talking about it today, because they're not necessarily coming programmed already equipped to do this. They need practice, they need opportunities to learn, they need to be taught how to handle those situations. So when we're looking at their development, when they're little, they're starting off with that ability to just kind of self-regulate, to just keep themselves in check without spiraling out of control. Then we're going to move on to self-control, where they're taking in input from outside scenarios and they're able to control their emotions. It's a little more of an all-encompassing viewpoint. And then we can get to that conflict resolution where we definitely know, like, we do not agree, this is not, what we're doing is not on the same page as what you're doing, and work out some sort of solution that makes both of us happy. For the parents, or the adults, the caregivers, they're starting off in that responsive piece and moving on to the management piece. But you'll see this self-control is here in both of them because we're modeling that self-control throughout the whole time. Whether we're in a responsive mode or a management mode, we're showing and role modeling self-control. And both of us, the children and the caregivers, are in a problem-solving mode. We're constantly saying, you know, is the baby hungry? Are you tired? Did that boy have the toy and he yanked it out of your hands? What happened? We're constantly taking in information, filtering it through, and trying to find what's the best solution. So you can just kind of see how, as we go through early childhood, this is the path we'll take. So this video we're going to watch is just a short little clip, but it's a mom who's working with her baby, and she's just introducing a new visual and auditory sound that the baby's never seen before. And pay close attention to what you see with the parent in terms of how she's relating to the baby when they're exploring this new object.
Yeah, that makes a funny sound. Do you want to touch it? Oh, what if it touches your hand? Oh. Oh, this is very different. This is very different. Oh. Yeah. Oh, looks like it's going to come on my face. Oh, yeah. No, you got it again. You got it again. I think we like the pom-pom. You like the pom-pom? Yeah.
So what'd you notice? What'd you like?
Your action.
Yeah. What about it?
Like, he cooed and she responded.
It was almost like they were having a little conversation. What else? What about her tone? Jessica was talking about tone.
It was really reassuring to the baby that this wasn't a scary thing.
Absolutely. She was kind of at he was calm about it, so she was calm about it, right? Or maybe she was calm about it, so he was calm about it. It was just a nice way to introduce something. They're both kind of at the same level. They're having that gentle, calm exploration.
Well, and she was kind of watching his tracking at the same time. Yeah.
And she noticed when he grabbed things, she kind of stalled it there for a minute to let him kind of grab it and try it. Yeah, she was very responsive.
And see, when he did the blink was coming in his face, she had mentioned something about his face too. So these are just the stages of self-regulation. So birth to 4 months, they can be comforted and calmed by touching and rocking. They love that. Uses gaze aversion when overstimulated. Sleeps regularly, able to quiet down, uses sucking, licking, or other sensory things to calm. We know that pacifiers, all that stuff cycles through various states with less crying and more alert times. We know in the beginning they sleep a lot, most of them do, not all of them, but we know at the beginning they sleep quite a bit, right? And the adult behavior, we're responsive. We're following their lead and we're matching their affect the entire time. That's all we're doing. Like Brooke said, we're continuously aware of what they need, making sure, I mean, first time mom writing down every little thing with that first child, when they pooped, peed, all that stuff. 5 to 9 months, stops crying when people talk to them. They can recover from distress with caregiver support within 15 minutes. Sleeping and waking bouts begin to lengthen, may have abrupt mood changes. Unexplained crying begins to cease. And again, we're still responsive. We're always there at their beck and call. So getting to the little bit older stage, they can maintain security through social referencing. 90% of infants sleep through the night. Not mine. That was not mine at all. My own fault. May throw temper tantrums to get their way. Get upset early if routine is changed, and they nap once a day usually by then. Uses objects to distract or calm himself right around 21 months. And so now we're moving from that responsive mode more to that management piece, because now they're starting to get their own opinions and starting to get into some of that conflict. So getting to be a little bit older, some self-control to stop self from inappropriate behavior, so they have some of that. Saying no is at a height, we know that, that's their favorite. Frequent tantrums, gets upset if they cannot meet standards. That was my Everett for sure, he still does get upset. May touch own genitals for self-calming, connects actions and consequences. And so now we're moving to that management piece, really helping them know what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. And then by 36 months, able to talk about emotions, able to request adults' help to handle emotions, and may begin to recover from tantrums by themselves. So now we're, you what? Oh, that's okay.
So yeah, so that's kind of developmentally where we're going to expect to see the babies as they're transgressing through those first 3 years. This is where we're going to see. So what strategies do we have? This quote's really cute. It's talking about infants. What infants need is the opportunity and time to take in and figure out the world around them. But really that's true for all kids. We need to give them time and opportunity to explore, figure things out, maybe make some mistakes and learn from it, right? That's what growing up is. But we can have some strategies to support them so that it's a positive experience. We can provide some predictability pieces. Those routines we've been talking about, the people. When we can provide that predictability, kids become a little braver about trying things, more self-confident when it's successful. We can support the awareness and acceptance of their feelings, like we just talked about with that emotional literacy piece, validating it. It's okay to feel scared, it's okay to have failed, it's okay for all of those things to happen, but we're just going to encourage them to keep trying. Encourage the children to focus. That self-regulation piece is about understanding your own body. So a lot of times kids are really focused on what's going on externally from them, but we need them to focus on what's happening to them, to their bodies, when they're experiencing some of these really strong emotions. And empowering them to problem solve. We're going to give you so many techniques today, but our job is to empower them to try it. We're not helping them at all if we continue to solve all their problems for them. They're not learning anything, they're not getting any life skills that they can take with them the next year, the next place they go, to kindergarten, to wherever they're doing, if we don't give them the opportunity to try them. And obviously we're going to be developmentally appropriate. What 2-year-olds are practicing is at a much lower foundational level than something a 5-year-old is going to attempt. And helping the children understand someone else's perspective. Part of self-regulation is understanding how you're feeling and kind of couching. It couches my response based on what I see from someone else. So that empathy piece kind of begins to take place even within the concept of self-regulation. So the official term is executive function, but it's really think of it like an air traffic control system. We're taking in lots of information, we're taking in lots of personalities, we're taking in lots of people, environments, lights, all sorts of things. And this air traffic control system in our brain has got to figure out what things do we pay attention to? Which distractions, can we filter out the distractions? Do we need to look at the distractions? Can we switch gears from playing with a friend to going off and doing some table work that's some patterning? Switching gears all the time from one thing to another, it takes a lot of work, but it takes a lot of skill too, and that's the kind of information we want to give kids. The 3 dimensions that are considered part of your executive function are working memory. You learn some information and you retain it, and you're able to pull it back up later when you need it. Inhibitory control. When you get that impulse, can you wait? You really want it bad, but can you delay that gratification to be something because there's other circumstances going on? We have some kids in our class right now where the impulse control is so overwhelmingly flooding their system that it takes precedence over everything else that's going on in the classroom, and it ends up being quite disruptive for them and the other students, and it ends up being, like we were talking about, those friendship skills, something that ultimately deteriorates their opportunity for making friends, because they don't have the ability to step back and wait or just think about something before they act. That cognitive flexibility, if it's raining and you've been waiting all day to go outside to the park, are we going to be able to be flexible because rationally we understand that it's raining outside and we can't go to the park today? Being flexible enough to think of something else that we can do, that flexibility piece is a huge thing for children to understand, and that's something we're going to get in time to practice. So this is about a 5-minute video. It's an overview of the executive function. I actually didn't write who put it on. Center of Developing Child at Harvard University. It's about how these executive functions shape our early learning and what happens when we don't get them, what happens when we do get them. And it really just shows how these skills are not just skills that we're using in preschool, but these are skills that become lifelong skills, making us really successful in the future when we have them in our tool belt to work with.
Minds are built, not born. And at the center of this dynamic architecture are a set of skills called executive function and self-regulation.
Children's self-regulation and executive function are key ingredients in their lifetime performance. It's not just about learning language or learning numbers or learning colors. We have to be able to work effectively with others, with distractions, with multiple demands. These actually are skills that contribute to the productivity of the American workforce. What should you have done next?
Educators, I think, are looking for just this sort of thing. And when we describe what we mean by executive function, they say, yes, that's it. That's exactly, the problem. These kids, they can tell me these rules, but they can't actually use them.
What's this?
What is executive function?
Probably the best way to think about it is sort of like an air traffic control system in the brain. Just like an air traffic control system has to manage lots of airplanes going on, lots of runways, and really exquisite timing and so on. A child has to manage a lot of information and avoid distractions. We really think of it as involving working memory and inhibitory control and mental flexibility. Take a situation where a child is having to take turns. So first of all, the child has to have inhibitory control. The child has to be able to stop whatever he or she is doing and let the other child take a turn. But when it's your turn again, you also have to remember what it is you're supposed to be doing. So that pulls on working memory. If the children who are taking the turns after you do something unpredictable, you have to be able to adjust what you're going to do next. And that requires mental flexibility. Children who are struggling with these capacities often look like children who just aren't paying attention, or children who are deliberately not controlling themselves.
If you don't have self-regulation, you act out and the teacher puts you in timeout, and so then you miss part of the learning that's going on, and then you are more upset because you're behind, and so you act out, and so you get this downward spiral.
How does executive function develop?
7 and +4. In little children, and even in the infant and toddler years, you begin to see the roots of
executive functioning skills. What's going on in our brain is unbelievably intricate and complicated.
The prefrontal cortex, or the front third of the brain, is important for executive function. But it's more than just prefrontal cortex. This region doesn't act alone. It's involved in controlling your behavior through its interactions with all other parts of the brain. The brain goes from a situation where you've got nearest neurons communicating very strongly with each other and ignoring the rest of the brain, to these widespread networks that are connecting these different areas. Executive function changes over the life course. It improves radically over the first few years. It continues to improve throughout adolescence. It's not until early adulthood that you have the adult-type networks that are very strongly activated that connect different brain regions together.
Let's take notes.
Also, we believe that executive functions can be trained.
It's just like going to the gym. So the more you practice in these areas, the stronger the capacity is likely to become because you're helping to strengthen those neural connections.
Mom, you're at 24.
Slowly but surely, you're going to be able to step back, and that child's going to go into the world with these skills where they get along with other people, change rules, and they be flexible, and they can accomplish new things, and they're unafraid.
I got my dog in my arm. Over here.
If we don't learn these skills during the childhood and adolescent years when they're coming online, we are really ill-equipped as an adult to hold a job, to maintain a marriage, to raise children, to get along with each other, to basically be part of a civil society.
You're okay.
So what did you see from there, any takeaway points that you really liked?
What I like is that it can be built, and that we can work on executive functioning. Because I think you often hear too in education that executive functioning doesn't develop completely until the age of 25.
Yes.
But what we forget, and I understand that, and yes, that means we need to treat kids as kids, but at the same time that we can build on it, and it's not like a lost cause until people turn 25. I think that's something that...
Right, it's not a switch that magically turns
Yeah.
on at 25.
Have it all.
No.
It's this like slow fuse that's just slowly lighting up and getting brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. Right, they showed in those pictures. Absolutely. And that's what, I mean, the biggest takeaway I think is that he said it's a muscle. And the more we practice it, the more we use it, the more we give kids skills, opportunities to name it and tame it and use it, the better they're going to be, and the faster they're going to be more confident and more capable. So, yeah, a really nice summary for executive function. And that's really what this whole session is all about, is executive function. We're just getting into some of the finer pieces of it. So, this graph just shows you what an amazing window of opportunity we have as early childhood educators. You can see from 1 to 5, I mean, we go from almost nothing all the way up to pretty close to as high as we're going to go. So this window right here is a huge opportunity for us to give children those skills. And one of the things I was going to say just on the side is there's a lot of books that teach that executive functioning skills. We've actually created a section in our library here at Val Swan where we're slowly collecting books that kind of tap into that theme of problem solving, being flexible. So this is just a couple examples I just grabbed this morning, but the beautiful oops. You know, instead of throwing your pictures away, what can we do with it? Things can be good. This one's called Your Fantastic Elastic Brain. It's for older kids, obviously, the older group in the 3 to 5 range. But there are a lot of resources we have for teaching these kinds of skills, and that's what we're going to get into today. But just think of it, if you want to Google search on Amazon, those kinds of books are coming up as their own category now, those kind of problem solving. Even like Pete the Cat, that's an executive functioning book about dealing with your shoes getting changed colors. Did he cry? Oh, goodness, no. All right.
Singing this song?
I play love those books. So cute. So some things that you guys probably definitely already do and maybe don't realize are executive functions are some activities, lap games, playing peekaboo, patty cake with a baby. That's teaching them that. Hiding games, putting a toy under the blanket, seeing if they can remember which one you hid under there. Imitation, simple role play. Those finger plays, that's so great for them. Conversations in more than one language is ideal. They are saying kids have a higher executive function when they know 2 languages, which is so amazing to me. So that's really important if you can do that. Benefits, focuses attention, uses that working memory, practice basic self-control, learn basic rules, practice anticipation, and practice waiting and turn taking. And for a little bit older, active games. You guys were saying Mother May I, that another one we play is What Time Is It, Mr. Fox? They love that. They really, really like that game a lot. Conversation and storytelling, matching and sorting games, imaginary play. Benefits, physical development. You know, when you really do have those active games, that's great for their large motor. Focus and sustain attention on a goal, inhibit unnecessary and ineffective actions. They're more willing to try new things, and they begin to engage in conversations. So looking at kids 3 to 5, imaginary play, storytelling, movement challenges, songs and games. So maybe it's something like red light, green light, you know, let's race to this line and come back. Quiet games and other activities, freeze tag, that kind of thing. Increase independence and self-control. Create rules for play, play cooperatively. So once you introduce those games, it gives kids guidelines. And for kids that want something that they know they can expect what's coming next, it gives them that. It gives everyone like a safe boundary that they have to follow these rules. And they have a really fun time doing it. Regulate each other's emotions, increase memory and attention, and persist to achieve a goal. So self-control is the ability to manage emotions, desires, and actions, especially in situations that are stressful. So research shows children with conduct problems and poor impulse control are more likely to be peer rejected and do more poorly in school than children who are more capable at emotional regulation and problem solving. It's so true, we tell Ever all the time, if something happens in kindergarten and you are crying and upset and you can't communicate to your teacher what you need, she will think that something is wrong, that you've done something wrong, or she will not be able to help you. But if you're calm and you can use your words and explain what happened, you will get help. And this is something we had to kind of talk to them because there's 29 kids and 1 teacher. And so really teaching them, the more self-control you have, you're going to be able to help. Yep, 29. He does have a teacher helper, Miss Faye. But yes, 29 and 2 teachers, yeah.
I just heard on the news, 30 is the average now.
Yeah.
Kindergarten through middle school.
It's a lot. And so, yeah, if we can give them these self-control pieces, they're going to do a lot better than the kids that don't have those pieces. You know, it's just so important. So steps and strategies to support self-control. Model. Staying calm when there's ink all over the sheets, right? Like, you don't need to freak out. It's okay. Exhibit self-control. Describe what you do to stay under control. Really talking through that. I'm going to go take a sip of water. I'm upset. And really showing them that you're going to do that. Really, because really, too, water helps us regulate. After we did this training and we found out that how important water is for everybody, we've been having the kids bring a water bottle to school, and it's so amazing to watch them take a drink of water and just see them like, calm down. So really that is a great technique for self-control. Share your emotions with the child like we've been talking about. Talk, discuss ways to handle strong emotions before at those teachable moments. Read books that have themes related to self-control like we were talking about. Practicing the skill, acknowledge and reinforce efforts, and reflect and review progress. After that kid's calmed down and everything's okay, it's okay to go back and talk about the situation. It's perfectly okay. But just making sure you know those teachable moments. So this is another technique that people like to use right here. It's kind of hard to see, but they have a string right here, and then the kid's picture and their name, and they can go up and move their picture as to how they're feeling. So blue, we can take deep breaths here. When you're mad, you're really mad, you're in the red. Stuff we were talking about, so.
I'd like to have a copy of that symbol and have that in her room.
Okay,
Yeah, we can,
We can definitely get you one.
Awesome.
Okay.
Really awesome.
We'll definitely get
She
you one.
can really relate to that, so I'd like to use that with my kids.
Yeah, and it does work. I mean, Miss K did it with Gus a while back, and he still talks about it. I'm red.
the other thing is it's a great activity,
Yes.
table activity to do
Yes.
together. You can just draw the shape and have the kids start coloring that in to recognize, like Jessica was saying earlier about the colors. The blue is that calm feeling where you're feeling calm, and you can choose the color. How do you feel when you're starting to get mad, but you're not there yet? And then what?
Yeah, well, and right now Miss K's using the vehicle, so it's red, you know, like for stop, like you're getting angry, and then yellow is, you know, the like kind of getting worked up, feeling silly. Green is that you're listening and good to go, and blue is that you're sick and tired, that kind of thing. And each morning the kids have to pick kind of where their engine is running, and then they recheck in each time during the day, so that periodically moves back and forth. And I actually started using it at home with him too, because he can start to recognize where he's at.
So
Here's
seriously,
my kid.
there's the cutie pie right there. But so green, just right, it says, and it shows these kids that are happy, doing what they're supposed to be doing. Green zone, happy, calm, feeling okay, focused, ready to learn. So maybe just introducing that word. You're ready to learn. You're calm. So really, this is what she's talking about. She's got that one. There's this one. We know lots of kids come to school like that, especially after daylight savings time. Blue zone, slow, yawning, got some bored faces, messy hair, sad, sick, tired, bored, moving slow. And I like the car, the tongue sticking out. And then I love it, fast. And she's got the car hitting the tree. It says stop, red zone, mad, angry, terrified, yelling, hitting, elated, out of control. And it shows kids wrestling and running down the hallway, and it's, you know, she gives them that out to really say, even though I'm feeling like this, it's okay. And then they can move their picture according to which one.
And there's a yellow one too that's kind of,
Oh, I didn't see that one.
so in between red and green, it's yellow, so it's like being silly and like, so they're getting revved up, but they're not quite, feeling pretty active, like outside. So they'll say, yeah, outside I'm feeling yellow because I'm running around and like that. So I think that's helpful too.
Yeah, and really honing in on like what kind of gets them to connect with that piece and being able to relate it back to something helps them understand it even more. This is another example talking about tense and stressed. You're rigid like the Tin Man, you're real stiff. And when you're relaxed, you might be soft like the Scarecrow and able to move a little bit better. So, just talking about that. Tend to relax. So this is on a stick. This is the front, this is the back. And so, you know, you might have this for a kiddo that needs it and they're able to turn it around, or you might be able to bring it to them and ask, which one are you? So, just another visual for them. Other visual supports, count to 10, chair push-ups. So they can sit on the chair and push them up, kind of like Ellen does on her show, which I think is so cool. I wish I could do it. Blowing bubbles. This is, if children aren't able to really do those belly breaths, that is the time where you can say, let's blow bubbles. You are doing belly breaths. You actually are taking breaths because they love to blow bubbles, right? So it really gives them that visual of like, oh, okay. Or you could even say, let's pretend to blow bubbles. You're really angry right now, helping them get those. Yeah, exactly, or blow a balloon, exactly.
One of the things I do for belly breaths for kids that are a little older, but kindergartners, is I would take Beanie Babies and make them lie down on the ground and put the Beanie Baby on their belly and make them push the Beanie Baby up and down.
Great idea.
And that actually helps them actually get really deep belly breaths because that's the only way you can move the Beanie Baby. And I think it's a stuffy, they feel calm, down, all happy things.
Yeah.
So that's something also I do.
That's a great idea. And that'll be those little TY babies with the sparkly eyes. Huh?
Yeah.
Beanie Boos.
Is that what they're called?
What are they called?
They're so cute.
Beanie Boos.
Okay.
That you can't have in the father's house. No, exactly. But my daughter loves them.
Oh,
She does.
Oh, yeah. Beanie Boos.
We have some older siblings that come in with Beanie Boos, like the They're super cute. So conflict resolution is really helping children build confidence and give them opportunities to practice by giving them the choice and really instilling in them that it might not work, but we're going to keep trying. That resiliency piece. We want to give them the confidence to keep trying. It might take 3 solutions. We read a lot of books where we point out that the character had to come up with 1, 2, 3 ideas before something worked. Or and the kids have gotten really into counting. We just read Leonardo, The Terrible Monster, and they show that he tried 5 times. He showed 5 different things to try to scare people, and it didn't work. And then he had another idea. So just giving kids that confidence to keep trying. We don't want them to give up when they're failing, or we'll never get to that place where we're, in fact, I still work on it with my teenager. I'm like, just because the first problem solution didn't work doesn't mean the whole thing is going to pot. We can still find another solution. So the cognitive behavioral intervention is really just teaching children how to control that anger impulse and kind of re-evaluate it in their mind. So we have a little guy in our class who's just a fast, clumsy mover, but he's always moving fast, but he's constantly bumping into people. Well, when you bump into people, your first reaction, especially if you weren't looking and didn't see that he's just a little clumsy, that you might be really irritated. You turn around, hey, why'd you push me? You know, so we need to be able to help kids reframe that thought to promote their self-regulation and understand the context of what might have just happened. So they're not just as soon as something happens, they're feeling it and then they're just shooting off to anger. So that leads us to Tucker Turtle, a great solution for helping promote that anger management piece, that thinking piece, that coming up with solutions idea. How many of you are familiar with Tucker Turtle? Oh yay, look at you all. No? Look. Could you use Tucker Turtle? Or, I know you have your puppets.
I would think
things.
so.
Okay. So Tucker Turtle was originally designed actually as an anger management tool to teach adults.
Adults? Wow.
Yes, adults. It was so successful that they started modifying it to use in secondary and elementary school kids. And then they realized this is a great tool that we can modify just a little bit more and use it for early childhood education. So the point of Tucker Turtle is to help us understand that if we're getting so mad, we can't solve a problem. It's interfering with our ability to think and come up with a good solution. We want to be able to recognize that anger in ourselves and then get back into that self-control piece. And we want to give children a more appropriate way to express that anger so that Annie's old friend isn't spitting on her anymore. So
he's spitting less.
Yeah,
he's not finished spitting. He's spitting.
I'm sure
less.
it's just a phase too. But the turtle technique is to remain calm. So we're going to remain calm when they're feeling that really flooded burst of anger. We have a Tucker Turtle social story, which you too can download from the internet, and I can send you that link if you'd like. It's called Tucker Turtle Takes Time to Tuck and Think. And the gist of it is, Tucker Turtle is a terrific turtle. He likes to play with his friends, but sometimes things happen that can make Tucker really mad. When Tucker got mad, he used to hit, kick, or yell at his friends. His friends would get mad or upset when he kicked, hit, or yelled at them. But now Tucker Turtle knows a new way to think like a turtle when he gets mad. So they start breaking, the Tucker Turtle's 4 steps, which is nice because it's easy enough for kids to relate to. So step 1 is like, here you show him getting hit with the ball, and he says, ouch. 2, he can stop and keep his hands, body, and yelling to himself. So the first step in Tucker Turtle is just to recognize that you're feeling angry, or you're about to get angry, and you're going to stop. He can tuck himself inside his shell and take 3 deep breaths to calm down. Tucker can think of a solution or a way to make it better. Tucker's friends are happy when he plays nicely and keeps his body to himself. Friends also like it when Tucker uses nice words or has a teacher help him when he's upset. And this is Tucker Turtle. So it's the same thing. You can practice it with your kids, but he can get mad, he can tuck, he can take 3 deep breaths. He can think of a good idea when his body's calm and he has a solution.
I want a Tucker Turtle.
You can order these online.
So cute.
You can order them online. If Tucker Turtle, if you Google search it, you'll find a lot of materials. But you can do a lot of really fun, powerful work with the turtle. You know, having the social story, having the puppet. There's lots of ways that you can integrate that process of stopping, tucking, breathing, and thinking into your program. I mean, Molly and I have been spending a lot of time working on that time to think is really important, and valuing that time, even for 2 and 3-year-olds. And they're really latching onto it, but then extending it to being a problem-solving technique is really powerful. We obviously need to give them time to practice this a lot, and we need to prepare and help them with that disappointment when things change, when it's raining outside. How are we going to handle those disappointing situations? It doesn't have to be anger that Tucker goes into a shell and thinks for. It can be something super disappointing. We want to always recognize when the kids are staying calm. Calm bodies are thinking bodies. So we want to recognize that, even if that's just your first step in teaching kids, is just recognizing when people have calm bodies and recognizing when they're not, and kind of labeling that for the kids. The little guy who was having the meltdown yesterday, I mean, it was important to tell him later, wow, your body's so calm, you're having fun with your friends, I see you're smiling now, I'm so glad you came to school, you know, reinforcing all of that so that he can later, when he thinks back on it, we can decipher the difference between what happened. And Tucker Turtle's an easy enough concept to share that with families and transport some of those ideas home. They could certainly use, families and school can use those techniques together. So this is just the story again, we already read it. Recognize that you're angry, think stop, go into a shell and take 3 deep breaths. And when you're calm, come out with a thinking solution. So here we're going to watch a video, kind of similar to the one we watched earlier. It'll be 3 segments, but it's a teacher who's taken the opportunity and the time to teach the Tucker Turtle, but she's using it in a lot of different situations and scenarios. So just notice some of the techniques that she's using and what size of group she's working with, how the difference is playing out in the classroom.
Tucker Turtle takes time to tuck and think. Tucker Turtle is a terrific turtle. He likes to play with his friends at Wet Lake School. Come see. Come see. Come see. Who's his friends? Tell me who his friends are. Okay, and who is this?
The owl.
The owl, you are right. But sometimes things happen that can make Tucker really mad. Can you show me a mad face? When Tucker got mad, he used to hit and kick or yell at his friends. His friends would get mad or upset when he would hit, kick, or yell at them. How would that make you feel?
Sad.
Would that make you sad? That would make me sad too. Tucker now knows a new way to think like a turtle when he gets mad.
I'm happy.
We're going to stop. Shall we stop? Stop. Pull in your shell. Okay, and then count. 1, 2, 3. Take a deep breath. And then.
Can I take something of this Christmas? He can't come out.
Brandon's is, look, Brandon's is coming out. And what is your turtle going to do, Brandon? He's going to go think of a good way. Good job, Brandon. You remember to think like a turtle. You too. Yes, you did. You too. what do we do?
Get in our shell.
Oh, we get in our shell? Okay, so I gotta get in my shell? How? Show me how. Oh, okay, so I'm getting in my shell. All right, then what?
We count 5 minutes.
We count 5 minutes? Wow, that's a long time. Can we count shorter than that? What can we count to? 1. 1? That's really quick. I'm still angry though after 1. What do I need to do?
Count to 3.
Oh, I need to count 3. Okay, so I'm in my shell. And I'm still angry, so I count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Then what?
Get back out of our shell.
Oh, I get back out of my shell.
You know what to do.
And then what?
And then they give the stuff back.
Sorry, where did it go? All right, sorry, there's no exciting on me.
Who did that today? Who thought like a turtle and used the turtle today? Did you? You? Mm-hmm. Alec told me how to do it when I was getting upset in library, and I saw Ashton doing it, and I saw Brandon in the puppets. He was telling me how to do it. Seth, did you do it also? You did? Yes, Dyson did it too. So you guys all can think like a turtle. A lot of my friends did today. Give yourself a big pat on the back.
So why'd you see that you liked that she did?
We'll have to go teach her back.
She did a nice little individual opportunity with that kid. I don't know if that little girl needed some extra support, and so she was reviewing it with her. But yeah, she had her teach her how to use Puppet. What else? What about the times that she used it? I saw her use it in a small group setting. She did individual.
And she pointed out that one of the kids did it during blocks or something, so it was probably available throughout
And
the
they
day.
regrouped at large groups to kind of talk about who had been doing it. So she used it throughout the whole day. She used it in a lot of different scenarios. She used it with a large group, a small group, an individual kid. I saw they had little ones for everybody to practice. She had a bigger one. They had the support of the social story. I mean, there were a lot of supports out there for kids to remember, to practice, to learn in a way that makes sense for them. Maybe they really took it in when they used the puppet. Maybe another kid really took it in when they read the story. So she just had a lot of different opportunities for them to practice that skill.
Have you noticed it's really effective to have a turtle, like for most kids?
I think in our classroom, we'll show it in a minute, we use one called Dragon Brain. But yeah, I think that the kids, especially the older kids, use it a little bit more than we do. And I think that breathing piece and that thinking and calming, yes, they respond a lot to it. They all know who Tucker Turtle is, and I think they enjoy telling the stories. I think it's a wildly successful tool, for sure. I think you guys went on the tour that last weekend. Did you see in Sarah's room, she converted that, did you go on Sarah?
Yeah.
She had converted that little dog. The
Yeah.
dog,
Yeah.
she was so proud of herself. She painted it green and turned it into a Tucker the Turtle place. So she actually turned it into, no, it's their thinking spot. So if they think they're getting mad, they can actually pretend that they're the turtle, go in there, that's their place to calm down and think, and then they can come out when they feel better and they want to have a solution. So there's just so many ways to build on it that I think it's got a nice, a really amazing use tool. So as you saw, she used some little props, but you can look into it. I mean, turtles are not hard to find. You can make props, you can buy props. This is a little, when he needs to take those breaths, if you want to help kids encourage that breath taking, they just order these up from Oriental. It's a little pinwheel so that when you can make the pinwheel spin to really let children know that they are taking a breath. Jessica had a great idea. You could put the turtle on your belly and make him go up and down. Some kids, they have little turtle like erasers, you can just carry them around just as visual reminders. So there's lots of things you can do to use with the story to make it more meaningful for kids. Oh, this is just showing the little pinwheel. So first they smell the flowers. You can put something scented on it. They rubbed like some scented chapstick on it or something so that it had a little smell. So when they did smell it, it actually smelled like something. And then they can blow the pinwheel. And really importantly, teaching kids how to stop. Because that impulse control to just go ahead and push someone or do something is really hard to stop. So just that first step of teaching kids how to stop with the stop sign. You can do a finger play if you wanted. They have one to the tune of Where's Thumpkin, but it's Tucker Turtle, he's our friend, he's our friend. When he gets angry or frustrated, he tucks in, he tucks in.
I love that, I would do that.
Huh?
I would do that, definitely.
And so you can keep going. And you know, we have some kids in our class, they really respond to the music piece. So if teaching a song helps them generate it and just humming that, you might not even have to prompt a kid. You might just be able to start humming that tune, and that's going to remind them of what they want to do. I won't hurt your ears, but poor Molly has to listen to me sing all day. You can do small group activities like we were talking about with the thermometer. You can do things with your turtle. You can make little turtle crowds, and if your kids are old enough, you can let them dictate. The question was, what did Tucker Turtle learn? He learned to calm down and take turns and find another way. Or Tucker Turtle is tucking in to listen to Star Wars music. But, you know, just giving kids the opportunity to personalize it, to make it relevant for them. Maybe when you do tuck in, you listen to some songs just before you take your breaths. So we're going to do a little Tucker Turtle activity ourselves. And we're going to break up into some different groups than what we've been doing. So raise your hand if you said you definitely did know Tucker Turtle. Well, maybe you guys will stay together. Well, do you want to mix it up? Feel free to mix it up. I won't force you. So the point is to kind of be able to use your expertise level where you're already at. So if you already know Tucker Turtle, we would like for you to share some of the ideas that maybe you already do. Do any of you already teach Tucker Turtle?
I did years ago, 25 years ago.
Okay.
I had teachers teach it to me because that's what they were using for their pro-social.
In the elementary school?
In the elementary school, the kindergarten, first grade. And then I used it and built upon it with some other stuff.
Okay.
I taught it in Head Start in Missouri 25 years ago.
Okay. Well, maybe you two partner together since you do have some experience or some indirect experience. But we're looking at it from your experience perspective. If you're already teaching it, what are some cool ideas that you knew about or you did with Tucker Turtle? The other is just what ideas, based on what we've just talked about today, what are some of the ideas you have of teaching kids about these calming strategies using Tucker? What are some ideas, you know, those hand prints, the blowing on the wheels, the making little turtles, what ideas you might have. So we're just going to take a few minutes, but you guys can work together. If you'd like to go outside or sit on the cushions, feel free to move around. And then I thought I'll hang the posters up and we can do a little walkabout when we take a break, and you can see what some the other
Can I go to lunch for the
I know. Yes, I know.
Does anyone have any questions before we get started?